As seniors, we all have our own ambitions, our own dreams to pursue. Wherever our separate pathways take us, will always be the class of 2005 from TIPTON High School. This was part of what was written on the class of 2005 graduation announcement. Speaking of the class of 2005, allow me to introduce myself. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Rebecca Witt, and I graduated with SPC Jason Dean, better known as JD Hunt. I am here tonight to speak on behalf of the class of 2005. November 5th, 2009 started like any other day. I actually drove here to TIPTON that day and went to visit TIPTON High School. That visit, unfortunately, wasn't like the others, and it was one I would never forget. When our class found out about JD, we came together and once again supported each other. This wasn't the first time we had supported each other, and I know it won't be our last. Our class has been through some rough times. We've had classmates whose parents have passed away. Our classmate, Jeffrey Petty's death devastated and stunned us all, and then another one of our classmates, JD. Through all the trials and tribulations, I feel that instead of drifting apart like a lot of people do after graduating high school, we've only grown closer and our bond stronger. Arnold Glasgow once said, "A loyal friend laughs at your jokes when they're not so good and sympathizes with your problems when they're not so bad." This quote couldn't describe JD more, or Jeffrey for that matter. The two were loyal friends to those that they knew and would be there for you when you needed them. For a few of us, we really connected with JD when he was in Iraq on his first tour of duty there. He would write a handful of us every chance he got. Sometimes we would tell him about our day, or about our problems, or stupid jokes. JD didn't mind what we wrote about. I think he just enjoyed the conversation, as I'm sure David Einwechter and Jeremy Cope, our other classmates in the armed forces, probably do. JD has often been described as quiet and caring, but he was also funny and loyal. The class of 2005, we all have our own memories of JD. I remember how every time JD laughed, it made you laugh too. His laugh was unique and contagious. I also remember how JD eventually wanted to be called Jason, and how hard it was for myself, as well as the rest of my classmates, to call him Jason. To us, he will always be JD. Pepper and Ashley remember when JD came to school with 2 different shoes on. And Pepper also remembers when he tried to teach her how to drive his Mustang, a Standard. And if you know Pepper, you know that must have been challenging. Brock remembers playing video games with Jeffrey, and the two would get really good at the video games. But then they would play the video games with JD, and no matter what video game it seemed to be, it seemed that JD was always better than they were. No matter how many days have passed since JD's death, one thing that will never fade with time, one thing that no one can take away, is our memories. I know that we will never forget what a remarkable person SPC Jason Dean, JD Hunt, was. By never forgetting who he was or what he stood for, we are carrying on his legacy. Our class could not have been more proud of the man that JD turned out to be. Sorry. We will miss him always, but think of him fondly. Maya Angelou once said, "How important is it for us to recognize our heroes and sheroes?" So tonight, August 21st, 2010, let's take the time to celebrate JD, a son, a brother, an uncle, a cousin, a friend, a classmate, a soldier, and a hero. Rock on. Thank you.
What a beautiful speech, Rebecca. Thank you. I continue to speak about JD's selfless nature. If this day were entirely dedicated to him, I know for a fact that he would be upset if he thought if he were thought of as the only hero from that day. So to honor JD and the other 12 heroes who lost their lives on November 5th, 2009, along with him, we are going to read their names and release a gold star balloon for them. The 13 families of these heroes from the Fort Hood shooting are forever bound by this tragedy. Yet we are now part of a loving, compassionate family that will forever understand each other's pain and loss. We could not properly honor JD if we did not honor the 12 other heroes that were on the same flight to heaven with him last November. They were people just like JD. They have grieving families like ours. They served our country like JD. They were selfless and brave and made the ultimate sacrifice at the hands of an act of terror. They are more than a name in a newspaper. They are holes in our hearts and will never be replaced. Many of these 13 heroes have seen war, and when signing up to serve our country, they took on the great responsibility and risk of losing their lives. None of them, nor us, however, expected that to happen on their own Army base in America. We are going to read the names and release a gold star balloon for each of the 13. Let us never forget their names. Michael Cahill. Eduardo Caravello. Justin DeCrow. John Gaffney. Frederick Green. J.D. Hunt. Amy Kruger. Aaron Nemelka. Michael Pearson. Russell Seeger. Francesca Velez. Juanita Warman. Kam Zhang.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found, was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to feel, and